It's Mount St.
All right, call to order the, that got their attention. Good.
Kelvin went for a sidearm.
This is the regular monthly meeting of the Ellsworth City Council. It's Monday, May the 18th, 2015 at 7 p.m. circa. And we're in the City Hall Council chambers. We welcome everyone here tonight. We have a number of guests, and we're glad that you're here. And our second order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Item 3, rules of order. Ellsworth City Council meetings are conducted under the Roberts Rules of Order and additional rules that were established at the organizational meeting in November of 2014. Item number 4, adoption of the Ellsworth City Council minutes from the following meetings: April 20, 2015 regular meeting and May 8, 2015 special meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? And opposed to?
Abstain. I was absent from the last meeting.
Would you like me to split the
Inclement
vote?
weather.
All right, that's recorded. Thank you. Motion carries. At this point, I'm requesting council's indulgence to add one item to our agenda tonight. Will be under item number 13, in addition to the listing there of public hearings on the Ellsworth School budget resolutions, and suggesting that we add order number 051510A. And
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Council.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
At this time, would you like to include which one, or would you like to discuss that upon?
I think I'd leave that
Okay.
for discussion, right? Since we do have options there. All right, further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous, thank you. And City Manager's report. Manager Cole.
Couple of brief items. It's springtime at least, or the weather's better. So that means construction is starting back up again. Couple things for the public to know. After Memorial Day, Maine DOT is going to be doing a resurfacing job on Route 1, or what you all call the Bucksport Road. It's a mill and fill. They'll grind the surface down and refill it. They want to do the urban area from Court Street to Christian Ridge first, so as to get out of that area before the tourists start showing up, and eventually get out to the North Bend Road on that. So just be aware, and potential traffic delays, but all for a good cause. A smoother and safer ride. Another item, the DOT is also going to be installing a centerline rumble strip on Route 1A between Green Lake Road and the Mariahville Road. These are like the rumble strips on the interstate, and they actually work quite well. And there will be gaps to allow for people to cross into the driveways and into side roads as well. It will be done between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to try to not interfere with commuter time, and be done in July and August, some portion of time within that time frame. Also, Michelle Gagnon, the city planner, asked me to bring this up tonight. June 6th, as I'm sure you all are aware, is National Trails Day. And the city is partnering. It's also D-Day anniversary,
D-Day.
but you know, But in celebration of both, the city of Ellsworth is partnering with the Frenchman Bay Conservancy to have a trail cleanup day out at Branch Lake Public Forest. They're looking for volunteers. See some fine-looking volunteers out here. To work that morning between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. to help out cleaning up the brush and whatever else. And if you're interested, call Michelle Gagnon at 669-6608, or just call City Hall and ask for Michelle, and I'm sure the Frenchman's Bay Conservancy and the city would appreciate any volunteers to help out that day. And lastly, Harbor Park is open. I'll leave it at that.
Very good. Councilor Fortier.
A comment in support of Manager Cole. I believe that cleanup day at the Branch Lake Forest is eligible for community service hours for graduating seniors that need the hours. Since we had some in the room, I thought I'd spread that out.
There you go.
Good. Is that it for your
That's
report?
it.
Thank you, sir.
Does that work also?
I had a question for Manager Cole. Can you bring us up to speed, or sometime, the issue we had with water pressure on the west side of town? I've had a lot of constituents, and I haven't seen anything in any of our reports about it. So when you're comfortable.
Yep. Well, now that Larry is back from vacation, I'm sure we'll be getting a debriefing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 6, committee reports. Anyone want to report on committee activities since our last regular meeting? Councilor Moore.
Well, the Harbor Commission met, and I noticed that Larry's here tonight, so I'd like to say kudos to him, or I could have said kudos. Larry and the Harbor Master, with some creative thinking, sort of saved the slips recently. They contacted Paul O'Halloran and got what to me looked like the world's biggest truck. The thing was like, what, a quarter of a mile long? It was the biggest thing I ever saw. And they used cables and things, and they were able to move some of the triple pilings, which we call dolphins, enough so that we could actually put the slips in. But they did a good job in figuring out how to do that. The harbor will be up to speed. In fact, I guess it probably is up to speed right now. And there's still a couple of mooring spots open if somebody's thinking, gee, I'd really like to have a mooring for Father's Day or something like that. Or and there's also 2 spots on the float docks. That's all I have, but good job, you and Adam.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Any other committees to report tonight?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Ryan.
Recreation Committee met on May 6th, and Uriah Hahn was nominated as the newest member of the committee. In Olton Park progress, the amphitheater, splash pad, and comfort station are all underway. And they also let us know that there'll be storage on site for the ice rink supplies. Neighbors are putting up some parking issues, but it seems to be working out. Once people are getting used to the construction and how rare parking is, they seem to be parking off-site and walking over there. The athletic fields, they said the number one need out there is for an outfield fence, and it'll run about $18,000 taken out of their account for a 6-foot fence. The question was also asked why the summer movies this year are at the high school versus the track, and I believe Superintendent Higgins can probably update a little more on that. when the time comes. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Any other committees? Councilor Perkins?
The school's mission and vision survey is now out and live and ready for feedback. They would like as many people to take that as possible, whether you have kids in school or not. All constituents are welcome to give their feedback about what you'd like to see for the school in the future. We have a really excellent opportunity to sort of rewrite what we want for the next several or many years to come. And you can get to that survey at the school's website, which is ellsworthschools.org.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a link, and you can do it online. If you want a paper copy, I believe you can grab those at the school's office as well. But online is super. I encourage anybody to take advantage of that.
Councilor Forte?
Mr. Chairman, Cable TV Consortium will meet next week with our attorney to go over the final offer for Time Warner Cable franchise. We have meetings with their technical people the second week and fourth week of June to hammer out technical stuff that I'll be sending Jason to as far as service levels and stuff like that. But we're continuing to go that way and let you know when we have a done deal.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other committees? Seeing none, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilor.
This weekend, Down East Horizons sponsored I think they call it the Color Run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's a rumor circulating around town that one of our very own came in first on that. Any truth to that rumor, Chief?
I've never been one to rumors, so I saw a picture.
Yeah,
That
we
confirmed-
believe
That confirms it then.
Chief Coleman was the winner of that race.
If it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
That's right.
That's right.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It was a lot of fun. It was very colorful.
Yeah. Any other committee report? Okay, we'll go to item 7, which is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to make a presentation of 2 to 3 to 4 minutes in duration to the council. And if you would come to the podium, state your name for the record, and keep your comments to the point. We would welcome that now, and the floor is open for any citizen comment.
While we're there, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to acknowledge the receipt of an email from a neighbor of the basketball courts with a few issues. I will be sharing that with the Recreation Commission to come back to this council if there's any perceived changes that need to be done.
Thank you. I received that as well, and for the record, for the city clerk's record, I'll forward it to her. Also, we had another email correspondence from a couple who are Ellsworth residents, just telling us their concern about, especially for seniors, senior citizens, as far as the overall budget. And of course, they've read a lot already in the press about the school budget and so on, and they wanted to make their concerns known, and I'll also forward that to the city clerk. Anyone else like to speak to the citizen comments? Seeing none, we will move to item number 8, which is the presentation of awards. And I'm going to ask Amy Bowles, the director at HCTC, to come and you can explain from the podium a little bit about what this special night means and the recognition of the students in the Skills USA State Championship.
Thank you very much. I'm Amy Bowles, Director at Hancock County Technical Center, and I'm very honored and proud that you asked us to be here this evening to honor our students. Every year, our technical school competes at Skills USA, which is a national competition that every state holds for career and technical students to compete in areas of competition in their trade and or in areas of employability skills. This year we sent our largest team ever, and we broke the state record for a number of medalists from an individual school.
Yeah.
And we issued 30 medals across 5 different high schools that sent to HCTC, which was quite a feat. And we are sending 23 students to the National Skills USA competition to represent the state of Maine at the national competition in Louisville, Kentucky in June. So tonight we're honored to honor the students that were able to come. We had a lot of students not able to make it due to either tennis matches, baseball games, softball games, or work. But we would like to recognize those that were able to be here this evening. I will announce their name, their high school, and the competition, and if you folks want to come up and get your certificate from me. First, from Ellsworth High School, Colton McPhail, gold medal in criminal justice. Sarah Hillick from Sumner Memorial High School, gold medalist in commercial baking. Jasmine Payne, gold medalist from Ellsworth High School in employment application process. Also a gold medalist from Ellsworth High School in the competition courtesy corps, Joe Wright. From Ellsworth High School, gold medalist in TV video, Philip Barbo. Gold medalist from Ellsworth High School, promotional bulletin board, Tori Jones. One of her teammates from Bucksport High School, gold medalist, Gage Hansen, promotional bulletin board. Gold medalist from Ellsworth High School, Tech Prep Showcase, Transportation Diesel, Dylan Paul. Gold medalist from Ellsworth High School in the competition Tech Prep Showcase Human Services, Julie Clements. Gold medalist from Bucksport High School in the competition Tech Prep Showcase Health Services, Carly Boyles. And one of her teammates from Ellsworth High School, again, gold medal in Tech Prep Showcase Health Services, Kathy Newen. And last but not least, here this evening, bronze medalist from Ellsworth High School in the competition Crime Scene Investigation, Carl Rummel. So thank you for honoring them this evening. We appreciate it, and we look forward to reporting back at how we did at Nationals. Thank you.
We have further certificates of service to present tonight, and the first is to Tammy Moat. The City of Ellsworth proudly presents the certificate of service to Tammy Moat in recognition of your 15 years of service in your various capacities, from Deputy Treasurer, Tax Collector, to Finance Director, to your current position as Deputy City Manager, Finance Director for the City of Ellsworth. Your devotion to duty and your loyalty to the community have contributed to the improvement of the City of Ellsworth. Presented this 18th day of May 2015, David Cole, Interim City Manager, and Heidi Grindle, City Clerk. Congratulations, Tammy, And a very sincere thank you from everyone here at City Hall, from the council, and certainly the citizens as well for your dedicated work. Next is Lori Roberts. And the City of Ellsworth proudly presents this certificate of service to Lori Roberts in recognition of your 15 years of service to the City of Ellsworth from your previous positions as Assistant to the Assessor and Assistant to the City Planner to your current position as Deputy Code Enforcement Officer. Your devotion to duty and loyalty to the community have contributed to the improvement of the City of Ellsworth. Presented this 18th day of May 2015, signed David Cole, Interim City Manager, and Heidi Grindle, City Clerk. Lori, 15 seems to be the number tonight, doesn't it? And you told me 15 years. Tell me again what that was, 15?
Yes, on Friday, 5/15/2015 was my 15th year.
15
Wow.
years. There you go.
Thank you.
And of course, when you took the job here, you thought of that.
Yes, sir. I did.
Of course you did. Congratulations.
It's been an honor.
Honored to have you on board.
That was a pretty good recruitment year.
I tell you, it is. Next is Dwight Tilton.
He's on vacation.
We give vacations here?
After only 10 years of service, he gets a vacation?
10 years of service as Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Ellsworth.
3 days.
And we all do send our congratulations and thanks to Dwight for a great job, well done. So we'll make sure he gets it.
See you, bud.
Hey, guys, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Goes away.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. There are no items under consent agenda tonight, I don't believe. So we'll go right down to item 9, public hearing and action on the application of licenses. And the first is Shinbashi, I believe. Shinbashi Inc., doing business as Shinbashi Restaurant, 139 High Street, for renewal of a city Class C license, victualler and liquor, and renewal of a state restaurant Class 1, 2, 3, and 4, malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license. Staff, any issues? No. Public hearing is open. Anyone care to comment on this application? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Council,
Mr. Chairman, move approval of Shimbashi Incorporated as requested.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Next one is Finn's Irish Pub, Inc., doing business as Finn's Irish Pub, 156 Main Street, for renewal of a City Class B license, amusement liquor and victualler, and renewal of a state restaurant lounge, Class 11 malt, spirituous, vinous liquor license. Any issues, staff? No. Public hearing is open. Anyone wish to comment on this particular license? Seeing none. Close the public hearing.
approval. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Next is the Mex Inc., doing business as the Mex, 191 Main Street, for renewal of a Class C license, victualler and liquor, and renewal of a state restaurant Class 1, 2, 3, 4, malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license. Staff, any issues with this? Public hearing is open. Anyone wish to comment on this license? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council.
Mr. Chairman, move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 10. Council Order 051501. Request the Deputy Treasurer, Tax Collector to accept payments on tax-acquired timeshare units per the attached spreadsheet and to authorize City Manager to release said properties through municipal quitclaim deeds. And you're on.
So we sold 4 units over the last month. 2 of them are actually selling to people that had foreclosed. One of them is purchasing a different timeshare unit, and one of them is purchasing theirs back. So I'm just requesting that the council accept the payment and for the city manager to sign off on the quitclaim deeds.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Questions or comments? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Back to what, 350 or
I'm going with 294.
making progress?
Weeks. Those are weeks, right?
Yeah.
Those will make good bonuses.
Item number 11, Council Order number 051502. Discussion and action on the request of the Ellsworth Public Library Board of Trustees for a municipal bond referendum on November 3rd, 2015, for the purpose of allowing the voters to act on the issuance of a city bond in the total amount of $4,950,000, including bond costs, with said bond principal in the amount of $4,796,078 to be used for the purpose of repairing, renovating, and expanding the current library facility. Someone here representing the library that would like to speak? Somebody's? Okay. Library Director, Charlene Churchill.
Short timer and long time, old time.
Yeah?
I'm Charlene Churchill, the director of the library, and this is Ron Fortier, the chair of our board of trustees. We're here tonight to request that the council allow us to put a bond referendum out to the city voters in November that will allow us to do much needed work to the library facility. We've been through a fairly lengthy process to get to this point, including long-range plan, building program, concept design, feasibility studies. And our facility is really in need of some major work to be done to it, including a lot of preservation work in the Tisdale House, the original building. We have space issues with several of our departments, including the genealogy and local history area, the children's area, teens. The work that we're proposing to do would allow us to put those departments, especially in more appropriate space than what they're in now, and also larger space. We have major building systems that are really at the end of their lives, no other way to put it, and we need to do work to those. And we also have some safety issues that we need to deal with at the property. So we are asking the council to approve this bond referendum for us in November.
Thank you.
I'm here to answer any questions I can answer.
Questions, council? First off, thank you for all the information that you've provided us with. I know that we've had a couple of formal presentations in the past year or so, and been brought up to date on a lot of the planning and so on. I had the pleasure of meeting with the trustees just a couple months ago to hear more about the vision and the idea of this, and so I guess now is the time if council is going to act, that we act to get this out there, because you're going to need obviously some campaign time to get the whole message out to the voters. And that's what you're asking basically tonight, is for that permission.
Correct.
The packet that you gave us is very good. It's put together well, very complete.
Ginormous.
It is. It's as
Right.
big as that truck.
Well, that's the good thing about iPads, I suppose.
Is what you have given us available on the city's website or anywhere else?
Some of it is available on the library's website, and we will be putting more of that information up there. There are links right now to the long-range plan and the building program. We will be putting that existing facility survey up on another link. And actually, I could ask the IT department here to put links on the city's website if you would like that. That wouldn't be a problem at all.
Well, I think
So-
the more places you get it available, the
Right.
more people will see it. And I do hope
Mm.
that our constituents do take the opportunity to go over it and look at it. There's a lot of work that went into it.
Absolutely, there has been. And I would add that we're also working on private fundraising from individuals, businesses, and doing grant applications to supplement what we're asking in this bond. And you just never know. I opened an envelope this morning, and there was a check for $5,000, so you never know.
Are you at liberty to say how much you think you're going to raise privately?
Well, we hope to raise a minimum of 1.5 million. We'd like to raise more than that if we can, but that would be the minimum that we are going to shoot for.
And that would allow you to do the priority list,
Exactly.
not any fluff or anything, it'd be the
Right.
priority list.
That's right.
To save
Yes.
the Tisdale house, get the systems updated.
That's right. That's correct.
Charlene?
Yeah, at some point during the process, the pricing, as we talked about, I think the last time I stood here at the podium, I think we started the project costs at a very high figure, and there's been a lot of person hours put into trying to get that figure and the resulting project down to a scope, excuse me, a scope that we feel comfortable with, that number one will do pretty much what needs to be done, and number two is affordable, more affordable. So there have been a lot of hours put into this by a number of different people, including members of your body here, and we appreciate their time, and we're going to keep on keeping on.
One of the things that I noticed on there, when it talks about the condition of the current facilities, it says the fence is rotting, the wood on the fence is rotting out, cracking cement in the walkway, shrubs have, I think they use the word mature, and up against the building, bricks that have, shall we say, ebbed and flowed with frost over the years, and ground pumps not working to get rid of the water coming toward the building. When I saw those, the thing that jumped out at me is maintenance being done on the building. For instance, the rotted wood, it looks to be pressure-treated lumber. Is that and the cement walkway being waterproofed every year? Are the shrubs being trimmed back every year? Or are they just being allowed to grow?
No, I've got a lot of respect for our maintenance person, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Edmund, but the shrubs are at a point where they either need to be pretty much moved or moved out. As any large shrub gets, the root system gets larger, the branches get larger, the trunk gets larger, then they grow up against the building closer than what they were made to. And maintenance pruning does some, but that's just on our list of things, wish list. There always seems to be, especially with the Tisdale house, there always seems to be more places to put our dollars than some of the items that you, and Ed does a great job of patching the sidewalks as needed.
But if they're waterproofed, for instance, on the sidewalks, do they need anywhere near as much patching?
I guess just the age of the concrete walkways, it's a walkway that at the minimum should be replaced rather than patch and patch and patch, because the underpinning of it has become a problem, much like the stonework here in front of City Hall had.
When you say, when the report says shrubs, are we talking evergreen shrubs, or are we talking trees? Or is it a combination of both?
I think it's both.
I'm sorry?
Probably a little of each. I understand that back, I believe in '95, there was a lot of planting done around the original Tisdale building, and back then, not much thought was put into these plants getting bigger. Well, they did. And yes, I do trim them back every fall, but they grow vigorously. And yes, they're planted a little too close to the building to begin with, and I think that's probably what the problem was.
Is there any provision to alleviate any of this in the future? To keep the wood and cement waterproof, to keep the plants away from the building?
Yeah, obviously, when we do the renovation work, if we're able to do the renovation work to the Tisdale building, then the new shrubbery and the moving of shrubs and planting and all the landscaping would be affected by that. And we would hopefully be able to put a lot more thought into types of products and the planting cycles and the growth cycles prior to planting or replanting.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else with comments or questions relating to the bond or the request tonight? Councilor Fortier.
Well, I've been one of those that's been involved from ground zero on this whole process. I was honored to be asked to come over and be part of the Futures Committee. I was asked to come over and be part of the concept design, and I'm honored to come over this week and help start looking for your replacement. All along, I've counseled them to watch out for the number, because you've got to be able to prove to the citizens of this town, the taxpayers, that your number is achievable. And I think they have come up with something that, as a counselor, I'm very comfortable sending out to the electorate. What did I say when it was 8 million? Oh, forget it. You know, no.
The shoe came down.
So I think it's time that we let this egg hatch and see if the bird's going to fly. The citizens have a right to get more information. This will allow them to start doing that with a purpose. And then it's going to be up to the people that show up at the November election, which will put them in a good place to request funding for final design and go out to bid and get moving on this. Because having been in that building's bowels quite a bit, it is pretty, we've got to save the Tisdale house, we're going to lose it. So I think they've done well to bring this project to a point where it's doable, and I would support their request, and I will support the referendum when it comes up.
I will also, for those reasons, and the fact that something as important as the library, not just the money involved, but the cultural importance of the library, I think it's a good plan to let the people of Ellsworth have a voice in what's going to happen. And I hope that a large number of them do go to the polls and exercise their right to vote.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Councilor Fortier?
Mr. Chairman, move the city council authorize municipal bond referendum as requested by the Board of Library Trustees to be held on November 3rd, 2015, for the purpose of allowing the voters to vote on the issuance of a city bond in the total amount of $4,950,000, including bond costs, with said bond principal in the amount of $4,796,078 to be used for the purpose of repairing, renovating, and expanding the current Ellsworth Public Library facility.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Comments? All those in favor? And those opposed? That's 6-1. Councillor Blanchett opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12, council order number 051503, request of the water superintendent to purchase a generator for the water treatment plant at Branch Lake. Mr. Wilson.
Good evening. This year I've had in the budget $50,000 to purchase a generator. I've gone up and got 3 quotes, gone back with questions that you had of me to find out if it was compatible to the other 2 generators, and all the questions have been yes. And in my quote, my last quote, they included the questions. And as you can see, CMD Power Systems with a Cummins Owen generator, it came in at $50,284.15. King's Electric was $58,228. Sealy's Electric was $58,307. I am recommending for the council to approve the lower bid to CMD Power Systems Incorporated in Bangor. If you have any questions, I'd be try to answer them.
Yes, I have a couple.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you some finding time here. I notice there's a little difference between the quotes, and I'm going to shove my chair ahead so I can look at Councilor Phillips. Crankcase oil heater, is that important in this weather, seeing where it's going to be inside a garage?
It's not critical inside.
How
It
about
has a
the
water heater
alternator?
on it anyway.
Same with the alternator heaters?
He added the alternator
Not on this one. It's not
heaters. That final
included.
quote from
Optional extra.
CMD,
You got the new one with $50,284.15.
I'm looking at the chart presented to us right there.
Oh, you just had this chart?
Yeah, that says $50,284.15
Yeah.
with alternator heaters being optional and extra.
he,
Yeah, but on his, I should have attached the new estimate from him at $50,000, that all the things that John Phillips asked for have been in.
suggested.
Excuse me.
Just a retail price.
All the things that Mr. Phillips suggested I check into, they did put on the new estimate, and I have it in front of me.
Okay. For the same price?
It was, yes, $50,284.15. Did go up $500 that John thought it might.
He didn't modify a spreadsheet, but the
Okay.
quote was modified.
I stand
Whether
informed.
it's in basically an unheated environment, and the alternator, the strip heaters, just keep the can dry, moisture free, even of that, because it's such a variation, and that's an expensive pile of copper, trust me. And Larry, the ductwork is going to be connected to the outside of the louvers. Powered louvers and non-powered, did he tell you that?
It didn't say that it was powered. It just was
Powered louvers.
the approved
thimble,
wall thimble that goes out the wall with the exhaust.
As I told you, boys will be wearing hearing protection when that's running in that shed. You'll know it's on.
Question of the finance director, can you tell us what's in that water department capital improvement fund?
$50,000.
Okay. So the freeze is not on now, or is this over and above the freeze?
No, he's allowed to do it because it was part of his capital improvement for last year's budget.
Okay. There are other department heads kind of watching to see.
I've been 20 years getting this going.
Yeah.
A little defensive.
Any other questions?
Just one. Larry, for those people who are watching this on television, could you just give a very brief explanation of what this is for?
This generator will have enough power to generate our main pumps at the treatment plant, supply water and power outage to the city of Ellsworth. As it stands now, we rely on having a full standpipes when the power goes down. We have so many hours before we have to start generating or producing water again. And I think it was the last ice storm or the ice storm before that, been a few of them now. We did have to run a generator, and we ran about 3 hours before Hydro finally got our power back on, but was off for 10 hours before we got the generator. I've always been able to manage it and not run out of water, know when to go get stuff and everything, but this generator was in our original plan back in 1990, and they downsized my budget and took a few things out. The last 2 sanitary surveys done by the state of Maine suggested we have a backup generator just like you have in the sewer treatment plants and everything, because it's crucial to keep the water in a crisis to the city. It's bad enough losing the power, but at least you have water. You've got something where you can go and cook and do things. And believe me, we get a lot of calls from apartment houses and stuff around that think they're on city water, and they find they're on wells during power outage. Bridge Hill Apartments was one of them one time, and they finally did come on our water. We went through in 1990 with our new system. But before that, they call up and we say, sorry, you're on a well.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And part of the reason the size, if I remember right, Larry, the main pump's 125 horsepower?
Yes.
It takes a fairly substantial engine and generator to start that from a dead load. And we initially had talked, I think, at a 200, and with some estimating software due to load, and he'd had experience too trying a 200, wouldn't start the pump. All it does is create problems, and if you undersize the unit, the possibility of damaging the pump is substantial. So that is how we arrived at the 250.
Even the modern Saftronics or whatever the model is, and soft starters out there, I utilize those at McQuinn's, and I got a 125 that bogs down at 250 now starting, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's
We have the soft stats now.
Yep.
Council, ready for motion?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the request to award the purchase of a generator as specified for the water treatment plant to the lowest bidder, CMD Power Systems, Inc., at a cost of $50,284.15, to be paid for through the Water Department Capital Improvement Account.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
The generator it is. Item 13, public hearing and action on the following Ellsworth school budget resolutions for FY 2016. We have a number of resolutions before us, or a number of parts to this resolution, from 051504 through 051510A. All right, the first is appropriation resolve order number 051504, an applicable state law. The city hereby approves the following school budget article for fiscal year 2015-16. appropriation for state and local EPS funding allocation, that the city appropriate the amount of $13,698,794.30 for the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and raises the amount of $8,886,616 as the city's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, in accord with the Maine Revised Statutes Title 20A, Section 15688. This is the city's contribution to the total cost of funding public education as described in the EPS Funding Act. Raises the local share of the total state and local allocation to qualify the city to receive state funding. And this is a public hearing, so I'll open the hearing. Anybody that wishes to speak to this or comment on it may do so at this time. Public hearing's closed. Council.
Mr. Chairman, move approval of Council Order 051504 as presented.
Second.
Move and second that Council Order 051504 be accepted. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Moving on. This is Council Order number 051505. Appropriation for non-state funded debt service, 20A of MRSA, subsection 156902A. That the city raise and appropriate $105,665.32 for the annual payments on debt service previously approved by the legislative body for non-state funded school construction projects and non-state funded portions of school construction projects, in addition to the funds appropriated as the local share of the city's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12. Again, this is the non-state funded debt service. It's the amount of money needed for the annual payments on the city's long-term debt for major capital school construction projects that are not necessarily approved for state subsidy. And this is a public hearing. And I'll open the meeting for comments or questions or...
I have a question of the superintendent, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may ask.
How many years left on the high school payoff? Is this high school or is this middle school?
Elementary, middle school.
Elementary, middle? Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Close the public hearing. Council action.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve Council Order 051505 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Resolve order number 051505. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Next order is appropriation resolve order number 051506. Authorization to exceed the Ellsworth School Department's maximum state and local spending target established pursuant to Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, subsection 15671-A4, and appropriating additional local funds. The city raise and appropriate $2,011,269.58 in additional local funds, which exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model by $1,774,720.47 as required to fund the budget recommended by the Ellsworth School Committee. The Ellsworth School Committee, that language should be changed to Ellsworth School Board. If you would, please. Recommends $2,011,269.58 for additional local funds and gives the following reasons for exceeding the state's EPS funding model by $1,774,720.47. That amount is needed to cover the school department's costs that the state's funding model does not recognize or recognize fully, including costs to maintain class size, special education costs, facilities maintenance costs, technology costs as the school department implements its technology plan transportation costs, professional development costs, and debt service for pension obligation costs. The additional local funds are those locally raised funds over and above the city's local contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12. Open the public hearing. Any comments or questions? Any citizens like to speak to this? Any questions, council?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a question of Superintendent Higgins, please.
All right.
Mr. Higgins, this amount includes, among other things, money to maintain class size. What exactly does that mean, please?
That's a good question, Mr. Counselor. To keep our class sizes in the early elementary grades in the mid to upper teens, which is recommended an appropriate class size. Also allows us to maintain class sizes at the high school in our freshman academy, where it's students making a transition from the middle school to the high school.
Okay. Great, thank you very much.
Any other questions of the superintendent? Public hearing is closed. Council action.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Blanchard.
move approval of council appropriation resolve order number 051506 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions or comments?
Does that include the change of committee to board?
Yes.
Oh, if you would, thank you.
As amended, thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? That's unanimous. Next is appropriation resolve order number 051507. City hereby approves the following school budget article. Total school budget summary 20-A MRSA subsection 156904A that the city authorizes the school committee to expend $19,653,172.14 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30, 2016 from the city's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statute, Title 20-A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. And I will open the public hearing. Any comments or questions? Questions of superintendent, anyone? Public hearing is closed.
To follow your previous comments, Mr. Chairman's committee in that article should be school board too.
Thank you.
And I'd move approval of 051507 as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Next is appropriation resolve order number 051508. Appropriating and raising funds for adult education for FY 2016, 20-A MRSA subsection 8603-A1. That the city authorizes that the sum of $265,550.50 is hereby appropriated for adult education for fiscal year 2015-16, and that the sum of $265,550.50 is hereby raised as the local share with authorization to expend any additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the adult education program. Under state law, the appropriation for adult education falls outside the total annual budget for public schools. And I'll open the public hearing. Any comments or questions on the adult education piece? Public hearing is closed. Council action.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor?
move approval of Council Order 051508, order appropriating and raising funds for adult education as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Next is appropriation resolve order number 051509. Applicable state law, the city hereby approves the following school budget article. That the city authorizes that the sum of $204,938.14 is hereby raised for all other expenditures, the food service program for fiscal year 2015 and 16, and that the Ellsworth School Department is authorized to expend any unexpended balances and additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the food service program. This order raises local tax revenues for the food service program, which falls, again, outside the annual budget for public schools. And open the public hearing. And ask again any questions or comments relative to the food service. Public hearing is closed and council action.
Mr. Chairman, move approval of council order, resolve order number 051509 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Next is appropriation resolve order number 051510. That the city authorizes that in addition to amounts approved for the fiscal year 2015 and 16 school operating budget, the school, if we can amend that to board, is hereby authorized to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not appropriated for the school operating budget. School department runs various programs supported by federal grant funds and other receipts which are not part of the school operating budget, and this order does not require additional tax dollars to be raised. We'll open the public hearing on 051510. Any comments or any questions? Seeing none, close public hearing. Council action.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Blanchett.
move approval of appropriation resolve order number 051510 as presented and as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, Council. All right, next is appropriation resolve, the item that was added, or the piece that was added to item number 13, and that is appropriation resolve order number 051510A. Stating that the city will reduce the amount raised and appropriate it for the city's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act in accordance with Maine Revised Statutes Title 20A, Section 15688, to the extent of any unanticipated increase in the adjusted state contribution under the Essential Programs and Services funding model. This order would require the school board to use the entire additional state subsidy to reduce local assessment. And I'll open the public hearing. Members of the public that wish to speak. Comments, questions? Public hearing is closed. Council, what's your desire?
Mr. Chairman, move approval of appropriate resolve order number 051510A as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous vote. And And that, I believe, concludes item number 13. Good work, council.
Mr. Chairman, I would remind people that it's not that we like the number, but we like education.
True. This is not the closing of a budget. This is not the end of budget deliberations for this body, for sure. And we've got a lot of work to do yet. And if we took everything just as it stands right now, yes, there would be some substantial increases in some of the things that we'd rather not see increase, but that's about all we can say at this point. And we're going to keep working hard to address all those issues going forward over the next few weeks. There is a referendum ballot on June the 9th for approval of the school budget, as has been presented tonight. And so residents, citizens of Ellsworth, voters are encouraged, they're urged, they're invited to come and be part of this process and to vote on the school budget.
And to be educated on it before they get to the poll.
That helps too. As we know, there's a lot of it that we're still educating ourselves on.
education.
We're a new school department.
Board.
And we're proud to support the school department and school board and Superintendent Higgins. And we've just had nothing but cooperation and a real good rapport and support getting this far.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilor Moore.
I feel confident that the superintendent and the school board worked very hard to keep the numbers as low as possible. But there are some things that were just simply out of their control.
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
They're taxpayers too.
Yeah.
And of course, with the state budget not being closed, we don't know as far as the state's contribution to local education. We have no idea where that's going to come down. We, on the city side, are still looking at what's going to happen with revenue sharing, or if anything's going to happen. There are just so many unknowns. We're not blaming anything on anybody. We're just waiting until we know some of these figures so we can plug them in and just see where we are. And if you're reading the news or listening to news articles, you know that I think every municipality in the state is kind of in that same, area of uncertainty, not knowing how their budget's going to look or where they're going to be as far as their tax rates. So,
except for some of these coastal communities that are minimum receivers anywhere.
The minimum receivers
going to make a $2,000 difference in their assessment. So.
Right, but we're going to
Mr. Chairman,
keep working on it. Councilor,
at any point, and we know we've discussed this and we've all reviewed it, but I don't hear but has it been brought up at this meeting, the actual difference in the expenditure side?
in the
No, I think that'd be good.
It's a very good point, I think,
In
to
the-
make, that the school
Yes.
department has worked diligently, and the actual expenditure
Yes,
side
yes.
has only changed less than 3%, not
Right.
much more than inflation. When you consider wages and everything else, they've done a
Excellent.
very good job and done their due diligence to control the expenses. The problem lies in the reimbursables from the state of Maine, again, as it's diminished and is diminishing.
And the loss of
And that's where
tuition.
the burden will come on our local taxpayers. But the school board themselves has done a very, very good job in keeping their expenditures down and controlling their cost.
Thank you very much, because that's an excellent point to make people aware of. So, thank you.
Yeah, no matter how you paint it, it's still $20 million.
Yep, it is.
I would sort of echo Councillor Phillips' comments about the expenditures line of the budget for the school department. I think that personally has done a great job of putting together a really responsible budget in terms of the expenditures. Councillor Fortier mentioned the education piece of going out to the polls and voting on this. It's the state funding of school budgets is so complex and is evolving still. So there's a lot to pay attention to in the coming weeks as you go to the polls and think about what this means for our community in relation to what they're doing in the state right now, and how that changes the mix for us personally here. So pay close attention to that.
That's good.
For the
Yeah.
next few weeks.
Good advice. Excellent. Anyone else? All good comments. We're working on it together. We're trying to make this thing work for, not just for this year, but going forward for sure. All right, we'll take up item 14, Council Order number 051511, authorization for the interim city manager and city council chairman to provide a letter of support to the Jackson Laboratory for a federal U.S. Economic Development Administration grant application for infrastructure upgrades to the Jack's Ellsworth facility. And we're asking for your support of a letter going forward, as well as a council resolution, and I'll let interim manager Cole speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a bit of good news tonight.
Excellent.
As you all know, Jackson Lab bought the former Lowe's facility back in 2012, and recently we've heard that Jackson Lab received a grant from the Maine Technology Institute to initiate a pilot project. I believe the grant was in the amount of $1.7 million, which Jackson Lab is matching. So that should be getting underway this year. Parallel to that, Jackson Lab is also looking to the future and the build out of this facility. Nothing is guaranteed. The pilot project must work. However, if it does work, Jackson Lab is looking at a full build out of the Lowe's building that over a 10-year period could create as many as 365 new jobs. And that certainly is significant no matter where you live in the state of Maine. The pilot project, which is funded, is an initial 33 jobs. I was contacted last week by a representative of Jackson Lab. They are seeking funding from the U.S. Economic Development Administration through a grant program to put in the core infrastructure into that building that would allow for the build out of the facility. This would include everything from communications, fiber, energy, security, water, wastewater, and other items that are necessary to build out to that extent. They are applying for this grant, and they plan to match it with another $2.1 million. So we're talking over $4 million in infrastructure being invested in the city of Ellsworth to support what will be, when it's done, the state-of-the-art, most production facility in the world. All good. The funding agency, however, and I have a great deal of experience with this agency over the years, normally their grants go to state and local areas, but they can go to nonprofits as well. However, they do want to make sure that if they're going to invest in your community, it's something consistent with the development wishes of the community. Thus, the resolve I'm recommending that you pass and sign onto tonight. There's a copy in your packet. What it basically says is it recognizes the fact that the build out of this facility will require infrastructure investment, that EDA monies would be matched dollar for dollar by JAX, and that the city of Ellsworth, for its part, supports Jackson Lab's application to the U.S. Economic Development Administration for $2,125,000,000 in federal funds, and pledges its cooperation for this endeavor and other activities which will support the realization of a successful pilot project and full build-out of the Ellsworth, Maine facility. So that is the resolution, and we would also, if supported by the council tonight, also send an additional letter expanding upon this, but EDA does require the resolve demonstrating the community's cooperation.
Thank you. Good job. Any questions? Any comments on that? So if my math's right, then we're looking at a total basically infrastructure and design investment there of close to $8 million.
Certainly, this grant, or this activity, would be 4.25 million.
4.25.
And then there's another
3.5.
3.5 million going into the pilot project. So that's a pretty good start.
And, Mr. Chairman, since it's already been said publicly, what's the full build-out of this facility?
Cost-wise?
Yeah.
They're talking 75 million. Yeah, that's public knowledge.
Yeah,
So.
I read it in the Ellsworth American.
it's got to be correct.
Yeah.
Only the
Again,
news is
good
fit to
point.
print.
Good point.
A $75 million investment, where do I sign?
There you go.
And, Mr. Chairman, what really excites us that are on this board and work in City Hall on projects is the interest of other taxable entities that want to come and be around Jackson Lab. That's what's really going to make this pop.
Well, I'll make the pitch for the economic development right now, in that if we had the space, some of them would already be in Ellsworth. And some of them have taken space outside of Ellsworth temporarily, waiting till they can come into Ellsworth. That's how crucial this is. And we have another number of companies that have both contacted and have said that they will be here as soon as they can find space. So
We have units at the resort, 300 units.
we do. But they'd like to have something on more than just a weekly basis. So yeah. Yeah.
Moving costs would kill
The
them.
moving costs would pretty well eat up any kind of profit.
There's been a lot of hard work that's been done within these walls. Mickey can tell you a lot about that. But it marks a very exciting time potentially for the city of Ellsworth if we can get this all to fall into place.
Right.
We will truly be well into the 21st century, and the proud home of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of mice that are very valuable.
Very valuable.
Any other comments or any further discussion? Or do we have a motion yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve Council Order 051511 and authorize the city manager and the interim city manager and city council chairman to sign the letter in support of the Jackson Lab.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Move to
Good
adjourn.
news.
Second.
All in favor? We're adjourned.
Some of those